Good afternoon, everybody. This is my first international talk. I'm a little bit hungover from the jet lag, and I didn't get to rehearse my presentation. So I'm having, I hope you're a forgiving crowd. Matt tried to get me here a couple of times, and at first I didn't even know who he was. I thought it was a really crazy guy. I don't know what he wanted from me, but then eventually people said, oh, MacDevOps, really great conference. And I think last November I finally talked to him, and he said, well, okay, maybe I can come. And of course he immediately arranged everything. I think he already put me on the schedule, and everything was done, so I couldn't go back. I had to book a plane flight, and now I'm here. I'm really happy to be here. This is my first time that I attend a conference on the other side of the big water. And it's really great because now I get to meet all the people who I collaborated with online and never met. And I have to say it's a really fun experience to see all the people and say, who are you? Oh, and who are you? Oh, and it's been really great. And we had a workshop yesterday, and the guys who work on the MunkiReport project have been helping me out, and it was excellent. It was really great, and I have to thank you again. Okay, now my presentation is kind of weird. It went in all kinds of directions. Matt wanted me to talk about open source, but of course I have to say something about my project. So I hope I'm not confusing people, and I hope I don't offend anyone doing the presentation. Okay, MunkiReport. Oh yeah, about me. This is my name. It's hard to pronounce. It's Arjen van Bochoven. I already said it in the introduction video. Then I can't help it. My parents named me this way. But you can name me anything. Arjan, Adrian, whatever. The guy from MunkiReport. It's fine. I'm going to say something about myself. I started out in IT a long time ago. I wasn't really a software developer. I'm self-taught, but I think I'm a software developer because I'm developing software. When I was 16, I got really fascinated by computers, and when I was 18, I thought this is not good for me. I have to stop this. And so I went away from the computer, and then when I think I was somewhere in my 20s, my brother came to me and said, we're at a great company, and I know you can program, and we need a programmer, and we're going to make a great game. So then I worked with them for a year. I didn't know anything, and then I learned about objective programming. We programmed in Macromedia Director. It was a game about the Smurfs. I'm not going to show any screenshots of it because it's... You know how what the Smurfs look like, and it was a fun project. But when we finished, the whole CD-ROM business collapsed because of the internet, so it never got published. I have a demo running, and it still runs, and only on Windows. But I won't show you that because it's silly. But it was a fun experience. It was a fun experience, and. I did some more things. I worked on content management systems because I had this, people were coming to me. I think it started off with a school. They had this website, and it sucked. It was made in Flash. It didn't run anywhere, and I thought I could do better. So I wrote my own content management system, gave it to them. I thought people have to be able to express themselves. I make this content management, everybody can use it, and it's going to be great. But of course that didn't happen. Every time they wanted to change, they just called me and said, oh, we want to change something about the website. I said, you can do it yourself? Yeah, but we don't know how to do that. So I also started writing web applications. Like small stuff for people who wanted to do something extra. I wrote some scientific web applications. That's not particularly websites, but things you can do to research something. And in 2007, I started a small company called the Blue Bus Software. Oh, I really suck at presentations. Does it say something? Yeah, there it is. My brother, he's very good with graphics, so he made this little blue bus. It's actually a scale of the bus I owned at the time I started the company. We had a really big Mercedes bus. It was a camper van, and we drove around Europe on it, and so it was really great. I still have the company, but I don't do much. Sometimes people come to me and say, "Can you do something for us?" And if it's a nice project, I'll do it. Oh yeah. And then, of course, I have my day job. I work as a Mac admin at the Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam. They changed the rules about how you should speak about the university. So it used to be Free University Amsterdam, and now they want it to be in Dutch. So it's called Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam. Now you? Great, great. And of course, when I started working there, I was just looking for a job to pay for my mortgage. We went to the bank and they said, "Well, you're self-employed. We can give you $5,000. And I said, "What?" And they said, "Well, if you have a contract somewhere." So I was looking for a job, and then I applied for a job as a Mac admin. I didn't have any experience in the field, and but I said I could hack around at ease. And when I was a student, I could get around it. I said, "I think I have the right skills." So eventually they wanted someone else, but he declined. So there was just one candidate left, and that was me. So I got the job. And the job was actually to phase out all Macintosh computers because they had within 2 years. So, but, well, one thing I can tell you, don't hire me for this kind of job, but because there are more Macs at the university than ever before. So I really suck at that thing, but the guy who hired me, he got this order from higher up, and when he came to me, he said, "Well, this Macintosh, they started doing something with Unix, and it might be interesting. If you can think of something or in a way to manage them, maybe you can still support them." So they were all self-supported Macs. They were Mac OS 9. People would do crazy stuff with it. They would replace system folders and throw libraries in it, and it would break completely. And then I started doing OS 10, and I said, "I'm going to manage your machine, so you can't break it anymore, and you're going to get support." And people love that. And then, I don't know why I'm all telling this, because it's not on my slides. But it was a great story. And the funny thing is, I was in the science department, and all my colleagues were really into Unix, and that really got me started into programming and proper system administration, like you never leave the terminal, and you only program in shell scripts, Bash and Perl, but I didn't get Perl, so I skipped the Perl part. And then the university decided that all these different IT departments had to merge together. And we had to reinvent the digital workplace. And then for the Mac, we got to decide what to do with the digital workplace. And then we thought, what's that program called from the remote program from Apple?
Apple Remote Desktop.
Right. You had Apple Remote Desktop Server that could install jobs on machines that weren't even online. So we thought that's a great idea. So we're going to send jobs there, and when the computer comes online, it's going to get all the software and all the settings that we pushed to it. But of course, it didn't work at all. But we wrote it in the description of the workplace, and then luckily, just before we got live, Monkey came around, and then we had a good reason to skip it and do something else. And we were really happy with Monkey, and then of course we wanted to have some reporting back on what happened with Monkey. I'm really I don't know why I'm doing, but I should do something else. Okay. I'm so silly. So, but this long introduction, and I think my employer is going to be really happy that they've been on this screen for such a long time. We're just gonna talk about MunkiReport. So, that's the reason why I'm here. That's the reason I got invited. That's one of the good things that came out of this project, that I got to go across the world to speak to you guys. And I want to tell you something about what is MunkiReport for the people who don't know what it is. So, we're going to split the word. We got monkey, we got report. I hope people know what Monkey is. It's, among other things, a software distribution tool. It's great. And the report is the other side, and that's the side that I'm going to talk about. So, what are we going to report on? So, when we started MunkiReport, we wanted to know if the software installs went okay. So we wanted to see what the errors were. We want to see what software actually installed. We want to see what was the duration of the install. We got some basic computer info, etc., etc. So it's really great. When we have this information, I told you, it's really crazy talk, because now I'm going to tell you what MunkiReport is. We're going to put this information into a database, which is at the back of the MunkiReport server, which is just a web server. And it's going to store all the data. So, and you're going to collect all this data from every machine. It's going to be in a database. It's going to be great. You got all this data. The good thing about MunkiReport is that it doesn't stay in the database. It gets presented in various ways, like in beautiful graphs, listings, detailed views, and whatever. I'm going to show you a couple of screenshots. Yes. So this is the main dashboard as is seen on the wiki of the MunkiReport project. This is like a very beautiful active client widget. This is like the event log, where you can see what's happening in your monkey fleet live. It's gonna, every 5 seconds, I think it's gonna refresh and show what different things are happening. I think some kind of errors are happening here. Usually disk is full. You've got this really nice graph, and I got into the JavaScript graphing library called D3JS, and it's really, if you're gonna do something with graphing, you should look at this. This is really brilliant. It's gonna blow up your brain to think how it works, but it's really, really great. Oh, and of course you have this great detailed view of a client. And how did we get to this really great thing? I'm going to tell you the short history of MunkiReport PHP, as Greg always adds to the name, because there was, before we had MunkiReport PHP, we had MunkiReport period, just period. And I dug through the archives, and I found an email from Nate Walk. I don't know where he's working at the moment, but at the time he's... Sorry?
Uber.
What?
He's Uber. He's at Uber now.
Oh, at Uber. Well, at the time he was working at the Liberty University. And he sent out a message, and he had a script he wanted to install with Monkey, and it was called MunkiReport. And this is the oldest mention of the name I could find. Of course, it's not a very imaginative name, but I think he coined that name. So I'm going to give him credit for that. I don't know what was in the script. I think I read somewhere that it would email something, but I really have no clue, and I didn't reach out to him because I ran out of time. But I think this was somewhere in 2010. And a little bit later, there was a message on the MunkiReport dev mailing list. In that time, we just sent emails to communicate with each other. We didn't have all the fancy stuff. And it was from Per Olofsson, who happens to be in the room. He is in the University of Gothenburg, and he sent an email that he was that he built a really nice reporting server in Turbo Gears. And for people who don't know what Turbo Gears is, I didn't know what it was. It's like a Python framework for websites. I think it's still a project. You can look it up, and I think they're still releasing stuff. But of course, they got their sandwich got completely eaten by Django. But they're still there. If you want looking for an alternative. And this was the message he sent. I'm gonna open source it, and it was great. And you can find it still here, the open source project. Sorry, Per. People were enthusiastic. There was stuff was happening, and it was like in the beginning of Monkey, and nobody exactly knew what was going on, but we thought we had the power to change things. And it was really great. I put this screenshot inside because Per, I talked to Per yesterday, and he said, I asked him, do you still have screenshots? Because on the Google site, it's just a missing picture icon. I said, and he tried to log in. He said, maybe the server's still alive. And well, the server's still alive, but the program died, unfortunately. And then just, I think, 15 minutes ago, I got a text from Per. He said, Greg Neagle, find a screenshot. It's on the Wayback Archive. It wasn't true, but I went through the Wayback Archive, and lo and behold, I could find a screenshot. Okay. I saw the screenshot before I did anything with MunkiReport, because that was the reason I got started with it. So, all these nice things happening. I'm sorry, if you get nauseous, tell me. I'm just going to skip to the next slide. I don't know. I wanted to tell you something about the Steam clock that's down the street. Matt told me it's not running on Steam. It's actually it's electrical powered. I don't know where the steam comes from, but it's just electrical. So don't get fooled. Some things. Okay, 1 year later, I finally got around looking through the archives, and I saw all the great conversation about MunkiReport, and I thought, we have to run this as well. So I downloaded the sources, and I did what was on the box. I read the instructions, I ran the scripts, and of course, I'm stupid. Turbo Gears is too hard. Dependency hell, I don't know what happened. I could not get it to run at all. I think I even reached out to Per, but he already moved on. He said, oh, I don't know about this project, but it should run. But of course, I don't know what happened. Maybe it was tied to a particular version of Mac OS X or whatever. I couldn't get it to run. But I saw the screenshots, and I thought it would be really great if I could get it to run. And I was already doing some web application stuff. I was using PHP. I know for some people it's a swear word, but at the time it was really great because it's much easier to run on a web server than Python. You just you just enable it in the configuration of Apache, that mod PHP is on, and your PHP site is running. So it was really great. So, for people who don't know anything about Python, there's a way of packaging up a bunch of files and Python scripts, and you put them in an egg. It's very imaginative because it's called a Python egg. And this egg is actually just a zip file, which you can expand if you just change the extension to zip and double-click on it. And when I looked into the egg, I found all these great files that I recognized. So there was CSS, there was HTML, there were PNGs, there was Python, which I could read. So I thought, if I take all this great stuff and puzzle it back together in PHP, I might be able to get it to run. So that's, oh, and I even found a Russian translation file. Ah, you didn't know that, eh? I don't know what it says. Your application is now running in Russian. Great. I skipped that one. I don't know why it's twice in the thing. Okay. So, for my web development, I use this micro framework. PHP is just one file that has everything in it to to build a web application. It was called KISS MVC. I think it was made by a Frenchman who already abandoned the project by the time I got there, but I thought it was really great. This is also like a red thread in the open source software. People abandon stuff. So, one rainy night, I massaged the files and I took the stuff apart and I mixed it back together. And lo and behold, I could recreate the screenshot in live code. And I was so happy with myself. And of course, we had this vibe going on of people sharing code with each other and great programs. And I thought, I can be part of that. I can share what I just found out. And maybe people not interested, but at least I can tell them about it. So I sent a message to the Monkey Dev mailing list, and I said, I made something, and if anyone wants to use it, here it is. So, I don't know, is that the second slide? I don't know. Okay. So, I'm going to do a live demo of the first version of my, sorry. No, we did a live demo yesterday, and I really suck at live demos. I get so distracted I can't talk anymore. I can do only one thing at a time, so I'm sorry, we're going to have to skip the live demo, but you can do it yourself because there's on the wiki is really quick demos, instructions, you can follow it. Everybody in the workshop could do it without problems. So, I have to take a sip. I'm running through my slides too fast. So maybe you have a large break at the end.
Quick talk.
I can, or a quick talk, or maybe whatever. So we're moving on to the next section. I entered the religion of open source. And this is a kind of a mixed blessing, and I want to take you through this religion, and you might notice it's faintly familiar. It looks a little bit like Buddhism, and I think I took some stuff from Buddhism and tried to apply it on the open source world. So I'm going to talk about Buddha. I hope I don't offend anyone, and probably I got some stuff wrong. You can talk to me about that after I'm done in the hallway track, or maybe you can rant something on the Slack channel. But I'm trying to. It started off as a joke because I thought I'll try to take you on my path that I took through the open source world. But then I got a little bit serious, and last night I got a bit, I don't know. I had some conversation with different people, and I had some second thoughts about open source, so it kind of derailed. So, I want to give you a few words about the 4 noble truths of open source, as I experienced them myself, and you do with it whatever you want. So the first noble truth, open source is suffering. And I'll keep it to me. My project is never finished. The world changes, and so should my project, because it never really fits into the world as it is at the moment. And there's always better features, there's always a better framework you should base your software on. There's always a better language that you should write your software in, so it's never finished. Because I share it, if it works for me, it doesn't mean it will work for other people. People will come up with really crazy scenarios where they expect the software to run. like a Synology NAS. It's not running from my Synology NAS. I thought that was just storage. No, you can run web service in Synology NAS. Okay. One of the things I did, I run my professional used MunkiReport instance on IIS, the Internet Information Server of Microsoft, because that is the most hostile environment I could think of. I don't understand anything what is happening there. I thought if it can run there, it should run everywhere. But of course, people come up with really even crazier things. And this is a burden. It causes suffering because people are asking for help and I cannot help them and I feel bad. I think my project sucks. This is something that most open source people can relate to. You get a question, you get the same question, you get it again and again and again, and you try to be polite, and at some point you're going to say RTFM. Or you just post the most asked question at the top of your Slack channel. You try to do something about it, but still you feel bad because it feels like you didn't explain it well enough, or you don't understand. Why don't people start first read and then ask? And then, of course, there's always people who think your project is great if you would only add this to it. I said, but that's not what it's all about. Yeah, but if you add this, it would completely solve my problem. I would have a great environment. It should send, I just talked to Alex Narvi about this. It should send bills to my clients about everything that happened in MunkiReport every month, so I don't have to send them my bill and whatever. But this is also a cause of suffering. I have permission for this. I got this, I read this, you see the time. It is 1:45 in the night where I am. I still read this. It's from Graham Gilbert, it's from a while back. And it says, if I told people what actually involved, I would not do it. They would not do it. And I have the same, a story that relates to that. When my kids were younger, they had a hard time sleeping, and they would like me to sit with them. And countless hours I've sat next to their bed with my laptop on my lap, working on MunkiReport. And my wife would call down, are they still not asleep? I said, oh yeah, they're sleeping. Why don't you come up? Oh yeah. And I would come up. So it's okay. Then of course we go back to the great lessons of the Buddha. The cause of suffering is attachment, and the attachment is that you don't want to let go. And this is, by the way, a picture from the Chief. It's a big rock. It's on the north of Vancouver. We drove, I think we drove past it with Matt when he took us up the mountain to see the great skies of Vancouver. I don't know why I tell you this, but it was awesome. Yeah, it was the summit of the summit, right? And if you like rock climbing, I think you should go there. It's really great. Okay? So I try to hang on to my project because it's the most important thing in my life. And maybe it's not the most important thing, but at least it's an important part of my life. I want to release new versions. And I feel this craving to release new versions. I have this, I don't know, this hunger of doing new stuff. And of course, I feel good when people praise me for, I see all these happy faces when I do this new release and there are new features and people are really happy. So, but this is something I'm attached to and maybe that's not so good. So, the remedy is letting go. Let it go. But letting go is not like a mental thing, so I'll just let it go, but you have to do some extra. And the something extra is... does something happen? I don't know. All my slides are doubled. So I even have less time. Too much time, I mean. But how do I do this? I love this project so much. How can I let go? So the Buddha says, follow the eightfold path. This is the Dharma wheel. It has 8 spokes to symbolize the eightfold path. It's really a thing in Buddhism. And it will lead you to open source nirvana. Of course, I'm not very good. The last part is about meditation. I'm not very good at meditation, so I'm just going to skip the last step. It's not exactly a step. You have to take them all at the same time. So they should be lived together. So I know this is a bit of a stretch, but I'm going to try to get you through this eightfold path. So the first path is the right view. And you should see things the way they are. So when I got into open source, of course, I thought everybody's loving each other. We're all one big family. We all have the same goal, and we want to make the world a better place. And I just jumped in. I thought, I'm going to release this, and everything is going to be great. And I have to say, I don't regret it. It was great. If you think too long about this stuff, you're never going to do it. So I just jumped in and see. I thought what was happening is okay. So sharing is good, but I can't make a full-time job out of it unless people pay me for it. And this comes from a conversation I had with Graham. He said, no, open source, don't do it. And I think he might be on to something, but it's like, I struggle with it, because I like to give things away, and it doesn't matter if you get something back from it, and the balance is okay. But sometimes you're out of balance, and then you have to do something. So, the right view, it's hard to have the right view. So I struggle with it. I'm not sure if I can see it properly, what this project is all about and what it all entails, but I try to do what's right. So the next thing is the right aspiration. So I started the project with the best intentions, with the good intentions. I didn't want to harm anyone, and I was convinced I was working toward a better world. And I think I succeeded until a certain level, and of course I probably made some people's life easier. And for me, my own life, of course, I like the project, and I like to look at the dashboard, and I like to show it to my manager so he can see I'm doing something useful for the company, for the university. But the best thing I got out of it is like the collaboration with other people, which are really close to friends. And I really would like to thank all the people who contributed to this project. So that was really great. Okay. I did something really stupid, I think. Okay. So the third path is right speech. Of course, this is about not swearing, not lying, and whatever, but I'm going to bend it into what open source at the moment is, and this is like conversation with other people about your project. And that happens in email, in IRC, in Slack, and it's like something, I don't know, I'm struggling with this. I try to keep up, but I see that there's a lot. I like to program, and I like to bounce around new ideas, but this is really crazy. In the time I can program stuff, I had to write these thousands of messages that I otherwise would have missed the conversation, and sometimes there's a gem inside, and I don't want to miss it. So, right speech. I think I should stop checking Slack all the time. I already cut out on a couple of channels. I only have a small amount left, but I think it's still too much. And it was something that Matt asked me, how are the time zone differences working for you? Well, for me it's like when I wake up, usually the conversation happened the night before. So then I get this really big blob of talk that's not happening anymore, but it was in the past, and something great or not so great was happening there. So people might be talking about anime, or people might be talking about Catalina and all the new stuff that went there. So I have no solution for this. I didn't reach enlightenment on this part. Okay, number 4. Okay, you might think, what's he gonna do here? Okay, I should not. I should not kill my project. We'll get to this because it came close. But these are from the Buddhist teachings, and this is what you should do. And of course, you should not kill people, but projects are also something, I don't know. Maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't, I don't know. You should not steal code unless you give due credit. And this is also, I don't know. I think in a way you should get paid in some way. And maybe it should not be money, maybe it should be something else, but you have to get something out of it, otherwise why do it? I really shouldn't have talked to Graham yesterday, but this is from him. And I think he was onto something. Okay, so the number 5, it's like a little bit close to the one, the last point I showed. Living from begging, not accepting anything, and I think I nailed it. So I didn't get anything out of this. Although I did some consulting work for MunkiReport and I got paid for it, so it is I'm not sure if I qualify for this. We're almost there. I don't know. Okay, number 6, the right effort. Okay, this is also something that, this is your mental state in your open source, as a manager of an open source project, the mental state you have to have, and the things you have to let go, and the things you have to make better. So I should not get mad at people that are submitting pull requests with 10,000 changes in them and asking me to review them. This was actually one of the things that decided me to change the project around. People familiar with MunkiReport probably know that I split off all the modules. MunkiReport has a core, and all the extra stuff is split out in modules. And I gave the responsibility for the modules to other people. So they're all separate projects that just are incorporated in the main project. I don't know where I found that model, but I think AutoPackage does something almost the same. So I made different people responsible for their own code, so they don't ask me anymore to review their code, they can do it themselves. And if they break it, they get to get the pieces, keep the pieces. With right effort comes also the good qualities like compassion and wisdom, and I want to praise everyone who updated the wiki. Thank you. Number 7, and if you remember correctly, this is the last path you should take, or the last path you should take together with the other paths. It's called the right mindfulness. And I could really relate to this thing, because I know what happens if you don't have it. I really try to be focused on the project, and I really want to be concentrated if I work on the project and with the things I do. And sometimes I'm not that mindful. So in January 2018, I managed to throw away the complete project from GitHub. It just disappeared. I was testing a script that would do automatic builds, and to test it correctly, I had to make a copy of the whole repository, and when I was done, I had to throw it away, otherwise it wouldn't run again. And I had two windows open in my web browser. The one was the original MunkiReport repository, and the other one was the copy that I made somewhere else. And I ran through this testing. Ran through this submission script, so I would send it. It would do the release on the website, and I would throw away the project and clone it again. And of course, at one time I just had the wrong window open. And I already got used to clicking, are you sure you want to delete this? Type the name of the repository if you're sure. And of course I did that, and boom, it was gone. So, this was not a very good time. It was very sad. Oh, and then of course I thought I fixed it, but I didn't, because I only put back the code and not all the release stuff, and the wiki was still gone. And of course my coworkers started coming in and giving helpful remarks. It was such a good day. And of course some extra from Earhold. And then I had to send an email to the good people from GitHub and tell them what happened in an honest way. And I had to get on my knees and say, please, 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 please give me back my project. I'm so stupid. I destroyed it, and please, are you able to give it back? And it took me a couple of hours, and it was in the middle of the night when it happened. It was the last thing I was going to do, and then I think in about maybe 2 o'clock in the night, finally, I got it back. And we had to tweak some stuff, but then it was okay, and we were back online. So, did I reach open source enlightenment? I don't think so. Some parts are okay, some parts are not okay. I cannot speak for other people. I try this to be a story about me and what I experienced in my travels through the open source. I put a really lot of effort in this open source project. I spent countless hours going through the code, but also helping people, writing documentation, thinking of new things to do, ways of doing things, running builds with new ideas, destroying again. It's like, I don't know, not like anything else I've done before. What I got out of it, and I said it before, the great people I work with, I hope I inspired people to do similar things. I hope I also have warned people about not getting into it, or maybe first think about what you want to do with an open source project before you start it. Maybe keep it small, maybe don't. There was a time that I thought it was going to be really big, and now I think I have to really tone it down because it's influencing a lot of parts of my life. But on the other hand, some people make a living out of it. They get a new job because of their open source project, so it can go anyways. But this was my journey. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank Matt for giving me this platform to talk about this. I don't know how we are with time and stuff. I want to thank you. Is this okay?
Yes, you have 2.5 minutes.
Oh, really?
No pressure.
Okay, 2.5 minutes. Well, this is the end of my presentation. I want to thank you all for listening. Thank you.
That was very difficult. That was hard for you. You told us a real story. Q&A? No.
No.
Have you considered taking donations?
Yes, I've considered taking donations. I've considered making a commercial version of MunkiReport. I considered making a hosted version of MunkiReport that you could maybe hire. I don't know. I really don't know what would be a good course of action, and I really don't know if money is the answer. It's not. I'm not sure if it's all about getting money or something else. I'm really struggling here.
Do you have other major contributors to your project that you can kind of load share with or rely on in some ways?
Well, when I started MunkiReport, it was still in Google code, and I don't want to offend the guy, but when I first started out, I didn't tell this story, but I think I can share it with you. I thought everybody was helping each other, everybody was working on projects, so I gave someone who wanted to contribute, I gave him the admin rights to the whole repository. And he said, I want to work on this part. I said, that's great. You do that, and I do this, and it's going to be fine. But then at one time he said, well, if I'm going to work on this, it's going to influence that, and it's going to influence that. I'm going to change it all around. And I could not make him not an admin anymore. But I had really, my heart raced. I thought, oh, he's going to ruin my complete project. I'm not able to do anything about it. So now, luckily, Google stopped with the whole Google Code stuff, so we had to move to GitHub. So I had a new repository. I made nobody an admin. I'm the only admin, and I feel like an how do you call it? Enlightened dictator, benevolent dictator. I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it, but it's because I'm not. Sometimes I don't have time, and people ask me, "Oh, I've got this great pull request. Why don't you look at it?" I said, "I don't have time." But yeah, it's complicated, and I have to say it's really hard to have like a meaningful discussion online. And I don't know, I don't mean it in a bad way, but it's like you bounce off an idea, someone answers, then someone comes in between with a question that's totally unrelated. People jump on that, and then the whole discussion is gone. So that's why I'm really happy that I'm here, and that we can talk about these things in live. So because it's much better way to communicate, and that's I'm on the other side of the great ocean. So I always have a hard time communicating the really ideas and like the direction the project should take. It's not some conversation that's easily done.
Thanks.
Okay. We're done?
Yeah. We're good?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.